What is up, YouTube? Holy Peps here. I'm going to be going over how to get out of Elo Hell. Elo Hell exists and does not exist. Elo Hell, basically, the definition is that you can't get out of it. But, of course, obviously, you can get out of every Elo. It's just understanding the gameplay mechanics and basically the fundamental core gameplay. Now, this video is not going to be heavily edited. It's going to be me going over the champions and showing you guys what champions you should play, etc. And it's not even going to be basically like what champions you should play. Just going to be going over basically the core mechanics and... why do I say mechanics? The core gameplay that you should be understanding. Because I've looked at a lot of guides, and they're really, really wrong. I can understand why people get stuck in bronze, silver, and gold, because they just listen to these guides. They're absolutely terrible. And also, Trick 2G, I want to say Night Blue too. Night Blue's a little bit better, but do not listen to pro players. They'll give like strategies and everything. Like Trick 2G, he'll go off and he'll say, go with Udyr, split push, you'll carry every game. And it's like, sure, that works in Diamond Elo, even Plat Elo, and Challenger Elo, and Master Elo, right? It works in those Elos because those teams are like, no, okay, Udyr's top, we're going to defend tower, everything. You do that in Bronze and Silver, your team mid is going to force a fight, a 4v5 fight, which they're going to lose. Then that top lane Udyr is going to be pushing for no damn reason because the enemy team is going to be rolling their entire base. And then everyone's going to flame that Udyr. That's what's going to happen 99.9% of the time. I can guarantee that. Because when I was in Silver, everyone was doing that. I was like, dude, you guys have no idea what to do. Like, just don't, no. And Night Blue goes off and does, like, these builds like Warrior Trinity Force, which, yeah, it gives Vi an insane power spike, right? The problem with Warrior Trinity Force is, by the time you get Trinity Force done, you've already been in 2 fights. And the second you go into a team fight as a Glass Cannon Vi is the second that you get instantaneously bursted down by their entire enemy team. So that right there is terrible. Now, if you can basically go around with Vi and get off picks and everything, yeah, sure, Trinity Force Vi is the way to go. And that's what they do in Challenger Team. They pick up team fights that are actually in their favor when they know that they have a Trinity Force Warrior Vi. Everything. But when you're in Bronze and Silver, that shit doesn't work. And when pro players go off and like, yeah, this is what you do, this is what you don't do, no, it doesn't work. Maybe if you're talking to like even a gold leaguer or a platinum leaguer, and basically the entire team has to be on board with you. That's what I'm saying. You can't just be like, I know that I can't go into a team fight as a Warrior Trinity Force Vi, so I'm not going to go into a team fight. Because then your team's going to force a team fight, and they're going to get aced, or I should say, all 4 of them are going to die. You're going to survive, and the team's going to have a massive advantage now. So that's the reason why I say, don't listen to them. Because it'd be much better to go tanky Vi, where you go Cinderhulk, Randuin's, and then Trinity Force. You'll do almost the same amount of damage. You won't be able to basically burst an AD carry down, but you'll be able to kill an AD carry fairly quickly, and you won't die in team fights, and you'll be able to initiate team fights very easily without getting one-shotted. So that's why I say, like, all these times, like, don't listen to this stuff. It's because it doesn't really work. It's just really, really bad a majority of the time. Because the advice they're giving for is advice that works in higher Elo. It doesn't work in Bronze and... I want to say Bronze and Silver. They might be able to do it in Bronze and Silver. That's because they're Challenger tier and they're really good at the game. And they can basically 1v5 as long as they have 4 meat dolls in front of them. Alright. So here's the real advice. Or I should say my advice. If you're wanting to get out Bronze and Silver, even Gold, pick up 10 champions, right? And then pick up 5 champions for your lane. So that's 13 champions there because you can incorporate the 10 champions is supposed to be 2 for each lane. So just 3 more in the additional lane that you go off in main. Let's just say you main mid lane. So you would have 5 champions for mid lane. And then you would have 2 for every other ones. So the reason why you do 2 for every lane is because you want an aggressive and a defensive. So let's just look at top lane. And offensive top laner would be, let's just say, Riven, right? Riven's Glass Cannon, high DPS. She's an offensive top laner. Chogath is a defensive top laner. He has good damage. He is a very heavy CC tank, though. So he can basically CC team fights, and that'll be good for certain team compositions. Same thing with Riven. You don't want to pick Riven into a full glass cannon team composition, because what happens is if you guys lose lane phase, it's going to be so much harder to climb back. Rather as if your entire team is glass cannon and you pick Chogath, then your team will have a CC tank on the team, which will allow the squishies to basically have some durability in team fights, where you can basically CC or knock up the front line to prevent them from diving your squishies, which would be your AD carry or mid laner. For AD carry, a defensive AD carry would be like Lucian, Graves, someone that has a dash, Ezreal, anyone that has a dash. There's many AD carries with a dash. Those was what I'd be considering defensive. Corki is a good defensive one too. And then ones that are aggressive would be like Twitch, Atch, Vayne. She has kind of a role, but I wouldn't really consider that a massive gap closer. Or a massive escape. And Draven, those would be offensive, right? Because they don't have escapes, they're kind of committed. You don't want to pick them if the enemy team has a heavy dive comp, because that won't work out too well. Vayne might be the only one out there that actually could work with a heavy dive comp, but because she can go invisible and everything. But mainly you want to have stuff that has escapes, because obvious reasons. A good jungler that would be an offensive jungler would be Kha'Zix or Rengar. Those two are obviously offensive junglers because they're glass cannons. Whereas if you look at like Sejuani or Malphite, those are tanks. So those are your defensive junglers. So you're understanding the core, and let me go over. Basically, mid would be the same thing as AD carry. Basically, a mid with a good escape would be defensive. And if you're understanding basically what I'm saying now is you need to basically pick something that's good for your team. You're not going to solo carry ranked, but what you want to do is you want to be able to basically empower everyone by picking something that's going to benefit your entire team. That way, if you do bad in lane phase, it doesn't matter because you've got something that can help out the entire team. So, example, if your team's really tanky, right, and you pick Riven, even if you have like a crappy lane phase, in team fights, you might be able to pick up a few kills and then snowball. Whereas if your entire team is glass cannon and you have a bad lane phase as Chogath, at least you'll have the CC that you actually have to basically go off and protect your squishies, basically knock them up, silence them, even feast, which is just really, really helpful for your team. So that's the advice I can give you. Other advice just comes with like basically experience once you play. Understanding like when basically to dragon, when to baron. One thing I can really say that is very important is if dragon is going to die, like let's just say the enemy team has 4 people on dragon, right? And you and the jungler are right near dragon. Do not contest dragon. There's no reason to contest it. I see it every single game in Silver and Gold League where they'll try to contest dragon. And it's like, dude, dragon is gone. You go to contest a 2v4, you're going to die. So not only are you giving them dragon, you're giving them 2 gills plus a dragon. So that's much worse than just giving them a dragon. Dragon doesn't really mean shit in this game. Many people will say otherwise, but it really doesn't. First dragon gives you a damage spike. That's the dragon that you need. And then you just need to prevent the enemy team from getting 5 dragons, or you need to get 5 dragons. Because 5 dragons is scary. 5 dragons is insanely scary. But even if they get 5 dragons, you just stall it out. It's the exact same thing as Baron. You basically push the wave, you're all under tower, and you won't have to worry about that because it's a buff. It goes away. But yeah, that's the advice I can give you guys. Hopefully this will help you out. I'll be doing many more Bronze and Challenger episodes for hopefully every single champion in the game eventually. But yeah, thanks for watching.